everybody, and welcome back to Bucs UK TV. It's episode 48, and for such a familiar number, we've got some familiar friends. Hello, Graeme, David, and Alex.
Hi, guys.
Hi there.
So this week it was a victory week, so that's always a good sign, and we're going to start off talking a little bit about what went good and what didn't against the Eagles. So, Graeme, if we start with you, to use an old soccer cliche that our friends across the pond might not know, bit of a game of two halves, wasn't it?
It was to an extent. To be honest with you, I thought the final score flattered Philadelphia quite a bit. I don't think there was ever much doubt, really, in my mind. Quite happy with the way the game went. They did score some points towards the end, but I think over the piece, I hesitate to use the word complete game, but it's probably the best all-around kind of performance I think that we've had this season. I mean, still nothing coming from special teams, but and I know we'll talk about that later on. But I think, from my point of view, I think it was a relatively speaking a comfortable evening. I'll take it. I'll take that.
That's a word that Bucs fans don't use often watching the game, do we, Alex?
We do not.
No, we definitely don't. No. But I agree with Graeme in terms of the phase comfortable until the fourth quarter, anyway. But certainly the first three quarters, I was very impressed with how we played. Well, I say first three, certainly the first half. The third quarter, that's when Philly really started to come back into it a little bit, and it did start to get a little bit squeaky bum time. But no, we looked good, and it was a very nice game to watch on this occasion.
So, David, if we start talking about the offense then, clearly it was a bit of an off week in terms of some of the point production we've had, but the other guys were saying it's comfortable. Where is the truth?
I absolutely loved our offense this week. I think that's the most balanced offense that we've had in such a long time. What a great mix of pass and run game, plenty of play action. It was just so balanced. I think I made a comment during the evening. Our offense was just offensive. It was just perfect, wasn't it? I mean, we shared the ball around. Everybody got a touch. Everybody got a run. No real mistakes. It was just a perfect game from our offense, really, and just something that just absolutely love to see.
And Graeme, do you think that balance is important, or is it maybe overstated?
No, absolutely important for me. And the time of possession was something like 40 minutes for Tampa Bay. I mean, that's incredible. And I think that demonstrates just what Dave was saying. Ran the ball really well, really solid, ran the clock when we had to. So, no, I think the balanced game really works, especially for us when you've got such good kind of ammunition in your armory from, on both sides of the game, the running and the passing game. So, the defense doesn't know what to cover. When you're running well, what do they do? Because they know you've got Godwin, Evans, and AB ready to catch anything that goes up in the air. So I think it's fantastic for us, for our team. I think it's perfect. Yeah.
So I mean, you're talking there about the receivers in the mix. I think it's probably worth mentioning OJ Howard at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, first time we've really seen him come into the game. That was about 4, 5, maybe 6 catches. I should have checked, but yeah, he had a few catches, looked pretty decent. I think he caught most of the things that came his way. So I really like OJ. I'm glad to see him getting a turn. Obviously, when Gronk does return, and I've not looked at the injury reports, I don't know if it's going to be this week or the week after, but he's probably going to take a back seat again. But this is a good chance for him to, get his name on the sheets and let everyone see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really good. That he actually got a score himself, got that touchdown in the bank. But actually, the yardage after the catch, I mean, it was great actually just to see him catch a ball, because he's been a little bit hit and miss so far this season. But actually, yardage after the catch was really impressive as well. He did look a bit of a beast out there, and the defensive backs were really struggling to pin him down. So,
it made you realise why we drafted him again. It was those hands, it was that speed that was meant to be, elusive.
I mean, it was great to see that, especially given the stick that he came under as well, but particularly It was out most last season, so it would have been the season before that, where he was having the drops, and there was certainly on social media in particular a lot of Bucs fans who weren't particularly happy with him. So to finally see that him have a really good game, and as David said there, and look like the OJ that we drafted, the one from Alabama. It was fantastic to see, and not just OJ though. Of course, I think we've got to mention Cam Bate as well, who also had a very, very good game. Both tight ends, and the fact that they both have been able to come in this week and both have great games in place of Gronkowski. It shows the depth that we have in the tight end position. Hopefully, that can continue while Gronk's out.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got an array of weapons all the way across our offense, and I don't know. Watching the games, so I was sort of getting the feeling before that Brady definitely had sort of a focus on Brown a lot more. But actually, when you look at it, the yardage, the receptions, the scores, they're pretty even between Evans, Godwin, and AB as well.
They're projecting all three
against all tight ends as well. He really is. Spreading it around, and that just makes it so difficult for defenses to
They're projecting all three to go over 1,000 yards this year. In current position. It's fantastic to see. It's not exactly even every game. It's one guy one game, it's another guy the next game, so that it keeps the defenses guessing as well. But big kudos to the offensive line as well for me, watching them in the running game. I mean, Wirfs, we talk about him, how he's never, one sack or something in a season and a quarter against him. He's flattening guys in the running game as well now. I think he's really upped his game there. I think he looks just the complete player, and he's only in his second year, which is fantastic.
And you're saying about the O-line there, Graeme, also look at the time that they gave Brady on Thursday. It was brilliant to see that Brady did not have to rush in the pocket. Brady is he's still able to get rid of that ball quickly. I remember watching, it was one of the games earlier this season, and the coverage that was being done showed how quick Brady can get the ball out of his hand from the time that he starts to throw to the ball being released. And he's still able to do it in about 3 to 4 tenths of a second, which is just ridiculous at his age. But the fact that he doesn't have to do it because the O-line is that good at giving him that time. And, think back to when James was with us, and we were all absolutely, well, me in particular, ripping the O-line to shreds. Whereas now, James and Coach Graeme, whereas now, maybe it's part of Brady's leadership as well. He does not allow players to make those mistakes, and it's great to see the time that he gets from our O-line.
Do you think Brady had an off game?
I thought he was definitely not fully there. There was some missed times. He was definitely lacking a bit of zip in some of his passes, and airing it just a little bit high. And I think whether that was a reflection on the thumb injury and how much that was actually impacting him, it wasn't his all-star game. I definitely think, actually, if he was 100% fit and zipping it in there, I think we'd have run the points up a lot more. He definitely left a few out there. But I'm not going to mind.
I agree. I've made a note that we're starting to hit the stride on the offense now. I think it's not quite there, but you can see all the signs of it just all starting to come together. It's not far away. I think we might get the 50 burgers that you called it. We might get there.
I mean, one thing I sorry, Kieron, I'm taking your job here, but it's just one thing that really baffled me. It's only one play, and it was if I remember correctly, I think it was at the end of the first half where Brady threw a very deep pass and it was intercepted, and no one was there. Now I don't know if that was due to the injury, if that was just someone not doing their job, but that was not a very Brady-esque play, that one. And I just remember watching it and thinking, what on earth is going on there?
Even if you watch the all-22 camera, you're never going to know, because you don't know what play was called. You don't, and a lot of them, they've got adjustments or calls in the sense that the receiver thinks they're going to run one route, halfway through the route, depending on the coverage, they go in a different direction. It could have been that. I think, as David said, Brady's passes were sailing a little bit. A couple fell up short. A couple were sailing a bit, and maybe that was the thumb injury that wasn't the thumb injury. But that interception, I think it's hard, isn't it? Because he did so much that was good, and we're so spoilt now that you're right. That interception was a really bad play, but that's the first interception he's thrown this year that I think you'd actually put on him.
Absolutely.
Because the other two, everything else was in and out of receivers' hands.
Yeah, and there was
It
one
was
play
just
on.
peculiar to see it. That's just not very Brady-like. It was just a very odd thing to watch. Sorry, David.
There was one play on a 4th down that we took, which seemed a strange call to sort of pass it in that scenario, given how he was playing at the time, and whether we'd have punched it in a little bit, I don't know. But just a mini momentum stop. But have we ever been this spoilt with an offense for the Bucs? Even the great teams were built on great defenses. This is so new to us. It's just wonderful, isn't it? We've not talked running backs at all. Yeah, that was a big part.
You mean plural?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Rojo had his moments, didn't he? So, and I think it's important. I always think next man up. Lenny's been fantastic, hasn't he? But it only takes one play for him to go down. You need somebody there back up. And Rojo, I think he's got over his frustration of the fumbles early on in the season, and I think he's an important guy to keep moving in that offense still.
I think this is a really exciting running back group we've got. Leonard Fournette is. I think we're starting to see the running back that was drafted to Jacksonville. That he's getting back to that level now. So hopefully we're looking at an elite running back being, on this team very, very soon. He's getting up to that point for me. And then, like I said, we've got Rojo, a player that I'm a very big fan of. He is capable of the big plays, and we saw that last season. Was it 97 yards? I think he had last season. One play, scored the touchdown. We've got the experience with Joe Bernard in the back there, and he comes in on those 3rd downs. Just try and get the extra yards or two. And he's been.
So we've got a great O-line. We've got a great quarterback. We've got great receivers, great tight ends. Loving it.
The only problem is for your fantasy football, we can't possibly advocate taking a Buck because they're not going to get enough of the ball.
It's funny you should say that, because I watched the episode last week, and Mariana. Well, no, I'm not going to blame Mariana specifically, as it was you who asked the question, Kieron, about picking Godwin or starting Godwin for fantasy. I did, and he got me 4 points.
I really wish I was playing you this week.
So I'm not listening to anyone from Bucs UK, I think, about fantasy starting lineups going forward.
So the one thing I love doing every we record this on a Tuesday, and Tuesday morning on the news is Power Rankings Day. I love looking at the Power Rankings and the variability in the comments that come back. and one of them, I can't remember who it was that I read today, was the Bucs are basically treading water, waiting for the back four to come back on D, and then we'll see what this team is made of. So let's move to the other side of the ball, and maybe David, we'll start with you. Pass coverage seems to be getting better.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's been daring to run with us. Everyone's trying to pass. And, last 3 weeks, we've let in 17 points, and 22 points. You can't argue with that. That you would go for and take that every single week, wouldn't you? So as much as we're banged up, we've got people coming in and stepping up, they're still doing it. They're still doing enough to win us games, irrespective of having the greatest offense and we could run the table up on points. They're still doing their job. And that defensive line, they're getting closer and closer and closer every week to the quarterbacks. We really struggled the first few weeks, but I think Brissett probably ran as much as the guy in the Mahomes in the Super Bowl last week. He was going backwards an awful lot, wasn't he? Yeah. So they're coming good as well. So 5-1, everything's looking rosy.
It's interesting though, because one thing that Philadelphia didn't do very well against us, and I'm pleased about it, of course, was the pass game. They got, if I remember correctly, I think all their touchdowns were rushing touchdowns, which isn't normal for this Bucs defense. To see our rush defense get pulled apart like that. That was that was a weird one as well, really, on that one. But it was great to going back to the pass defense though. What was great to see, and Gary says this over and over when he's on the podcast, and I agree with him. And it was great to see that the pass was being contested at the point of the catch, and that was the difference that we saw. Certainly in the first half and the third quarter. The fourth quarter, I think we slipped a little bit back into our old ways in terms of the pass coverage, and Philadelphia were getting a little bit more space. But those first 3 quarters, pass coverage wise, was really good to watch. I was really, really impressed.
But don't forget, 113 of their yards came on flags.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's 95
yes.
yards and 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they only had 213 yards of offense, but there was
Mm.
95 yards on those 2 pass interference calls. It's ridiculous. I actually wondered about that. I was looking at it thinking 213 yards, how were they so close to us? And then you go back and you look and go, yeah, right, okay, penalty. But yeah, still agree. I think the defense is looking okay, and it comes down to the front guys. They'll protect the DBs as always. I know I've said that before in the podcast. So we do need to get that pressure, get the guy running out of the pocket, get him scrambling and throwing off the back foot. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll get there. When you look at JPP's out, Levante was out last week, plus the DBs, and we're fairly comfortable. Yeah, I think it's coming.
It's true. You're getting on for half of a starting D. Super Bowl not playing the game.
Yeah. That says a lot for the depth.
I mean, it's got a sort of familiarities of last season, although we're getting the wins on the board now.
Yeah.
But really, we've got players out. They're all going to come back after the bye week. You think actually, then it's Super Bowl run again. Everybody's going to be coming back at the right time, and here we go again.
Yeah.
What's also nice is that I think we're now definitely seeing that next man up mentality as well, which is what Bruce Arians has been preaching since he came in. And I think this is the closest we've got to it so far, particularly when you look at how many players we have out on defense. We lost Richard Sherman very early on in the game in the first quarter, and actually I'm not sure it was that did come into was Mike Edwards already in, or did he come into to sub? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Mike Edwards, but D. Delaney came in and Cockrell as well.
That is true. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, and it showed that next man up mentality. I think is really beginning to hammer home now, and whoever's on that field, certainly against Philadelphia anyway, really did the job. All of them. I think the whole team deserve a massive amount of praise for that performance.
Although I do have to apologise for jinxing us. Mariana told me on the forum the other day, I was saying how much I quite like Zach Ertz and maybe he was past his prime. So Alex, the one passing touchdown they did have was to him.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the first
I
one.
rolled my eyes and committed ritual, disembowelment.
The day after they traded him.
Yeah, I was going to say he went to bed at night 2-4 and woke up 5-0.
5-0. Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah, so that was their first touchdown, wasn't it? Yes, the first one was the pass to Zach Ertz. Yes, yeah.
And then Jalen had to run the other to him himself. So it just goes to show it was that missing Levante, missing someone spotting the quarterback. I think the commentators called it quite well that Devin was doing a good job, but just on a couple of plays just didn't leave himself, the right angle. And I think it would be far too harsh to criticise him for that, given the performance that he and the others put in. But special teams, speaking of players being traded or disappearing from teams, Mickens no more.
It's back to sleeping in his car again.
I mean, poor guy. I mean, I don't wish it on anybody, but if that was the weak spot on the team, Graeme.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I mean, it's easy to say he didn't do much wrong, but I think that's probably the biggest part of the problem. He didn't actually do a huge amount he didn't give much of a spark to the special teams. So I think we've all been talking about this all season. In fact, when I was talking to the guys in the Bills podcast, they said, any surprises? And I said, yeah, I think Mickens won't make it. And I was actually a bit surprised he did make it on the team. But yeah, there he goes. So
I mean,
let's see.
He did have half of a fumble, didn't he? In the Eagles game. He's not a safe pair of hands that just catches it and takes a knee.
It's one of these things. I think these special teams players kind of tend to yo-yo back and forwards in and out of the team, and back and forwards to other teams, and unless they're the real top quality guys. And I think we're probably going to face a couple of good guys this coming week. Chicago always seem to have their Devin Hesters and whatever in their team, but I noticed they had a few good returns last week, so we're going to have to be on our game this week.
So presumably the duties will now fall to Darden. And I think we can't have drafted him for his size, so that must have been the reason we picked him. So let's see what happens this week. But I think the kicking, we probably need to give credit to it. It looked fairly solid, both on the ground and out of hand, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, looked absolutely fine. Yeah,
I
Pinion
mean,
again.
I'm just looking. I've got a
great
stat line.
punting.
Bradley Pinion had 3 punts, 2 of which were down in the 20.
Yeah.
He had an average of 42.3, but his longest was 44. So Mr. Consistency.
Yeah,
Every
totally.
time he got it, it went to the same place.
I mean, it's just nice that we've got a field goal kicker that is pretty solid when actually it seems the quality of kicking across the rest of the league
Don't tempt
is
me.
unbelievable.
Don't tempt me, man, no!
Yeah, for the second week in a row, it was not a good week to be a kicker, was it?
No.
Yeah, there were a few. Yeah.
Okay,
But,
so
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
good.
in terms of waving our magic wand, then for the thing to focus on for the week ahead, the players, clearly Bruce has got more days to wave the wand, so hopefully he's waving it a little bit harder. But Alex, where do you think he should be focusing?
No more injuries. Simple as that.
So
Simple as
another
that.
healing spell.
Yeah,
we've got
just no more injuries, please. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my
David?
magic one. No more injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to sort of get some of the players back. Gronky's there or thereabouts. Ringfield is a real worry. Down with concussion second time, and still not back. You do worry that has he got a problem?
I think
there?
the protocols are quite tough, and someone was out last year for 2 or 3 weeks after what looked like a
He was
fairly
as well,
innocuous, fairly innocuous kind of incident. So it's difficult to tell with that one, but yeah, disappointing.
You don't want it to be the beginning of something that can be cumulative. I think is the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Especially when you're talking, about a player such as Antoine Winfield, who is, what a young player he is, and you'd hate it if there was something that was continuous that would damage his career at such an early stage as well. So fingers crossed we see him back on the field.
So
very,
David,
very
are you
soon.
focusing your healing spell specifically on Winfield, or do you want to put it in a different direction?
No, I think it'd be good to have him back. I think David, though, is actually going to be important if there's any chance of him coming back. I suppose we'll speak about sort of the Bears game in a minute, but I think there's a real need for that linebacker role against them.
Okay, and Graeme, your magic wand moment?
Yeah, I'm going to bring back last season's penalty magic wand. And although it was over 100 yards, being realistic about it, 2 of them were those long pass interference calls, and I thought at least one of them was pretty harsh. And I think Alex was saying we were challenging at the point of the reception. I thought that was pretty good. I was really disappointed to see a couple of those calls, but we just need to cut the penalties. We need to understand that we just can't give away those yards. So yeah, the old penalty magic wand is out.
I think that's where I will reinforce it using my spell as well. I think a couple of those flags I think were sort of the equivalent of a professional foul, weren't they? I'm beat. I just need to grab the guy. And there were a lot of handsy type plays, but I also think that's the same across the league. The danger is we can't just see the Bucs in through a singular lens. That's the way the game's played these days.
Yeah, I think they're probably the inconsistency that's a bit annoying, because you'll see a penalty awarded against your team in one game, and then you'll see it in the next game, and it's same play, no penalty. Especially we've spoken about this roughing the quarterback.
Yeah, did you see that one last night?
Yeah. The inconsistency and the taunting penalties. I mean, there's guys doing far worse than we did. In that the running back was in the end zone.
The annoying thing is when they taunt before they've even scored.
Yeah,
in the end zone first, they get the foul. They should call it back.
But one thing you could say though, that's I mean, penalties full stop. It just comes down more to discipline in terms of if you just got to make sure you don't put the officials in a position where they have to make a decision. So if you don't do that, then you're laughing. But the moment you do something where the officials have got to in a way intervene, then you're walking a thin line.
Yeah, the celebration thing, I can't remember who it was, and I'm sure one of you will remember, but there was someone who used to say, look as if you've been in the end zone before, don't run about like an idiot, and get a flag thrown. Look as if you've done this before. But the guys get rather excitable, don't they?
Yes, including our good friend Aaron Rodgers seems to be building his belt back up again, I've noticed.
Well, let's just remind everyone
let's
just remind everyone what happened against us last season after a celebration, shall we?
Yes, I did see your tweet, Alex.
Indeed. Definitely
an opportunity not to be missed.
So again, because it was a difficult time for us Brits over here to watch the game, It was an odd hour that we were on the forum, but there were lots of people on the forum and lots of views, and we've selected a few to share with you. So our first comment is from Alex. We played well. It was close at times, but it always felt like we could pull away if we needed to. Another secondary injury is just mind-boggling now, and I do think this might stop us going deep in the postseason. Yeah, good points. Andy, we look pretty good on the whole offensively, and I was overjoyed by the balance and leaning on our effective run game. Yeah, echoing the comments you've made. And then Mariana, not pleased with the penalties, but happy to see us get the win, and really pleased with the performances by the tight ends and regular season Lenny, as he's now been christened. And I heard the commentators using it. Pete Payne was calling him that at least 4 weeks ago, so he gets first dibs on that one. No one else is going to claim that one. As ever, our thanks to our friends at Bucs Report for all their help and assistance. At which point, the obligatory pointing down there and talking about clicking things. Do the likey and the bell and the subscribe and all the things that the cool kids want you to do. It does make a huge difference, so please do. And we also have this week, our Wheel of Names is back once again. Everyone's good friend, Dominic Hodgkinson, or under his new pseudonym, Dom Brady, the postman with the best arm in the whole of the Midlands. He's been at it again, donating prizes. This week it was some Super Bowl 55 fridge magnets. And all you had to do was be on the forum, enter the competitions, and be in it to win it. So let's do the Wheel of Names. So if your name is on the wheel, you are in with a chance of being gifted by Dom Brady himself. So good luck to you all. Let's see who's going to be our winner. Neil Ferguson, you were robbed.
Unlucky Neil. Unlucky Neil.
Very close, Neil. Very close.
Near me as well. It wasn't me, Neil. Don't come and find me. Reese Beavis, well done to you. Thoroughly deserved. You've got to be in it to win it. Your prize will be winging its way from you. Although if it's probably coming from Dom, you know it's going to be second class. That's enough about the Eagles. The only animal we care about now is the bear. Okay, Graeme. So keys to the game. How are we going to unlock the Bears?
I think playing against another kind of young but mobile quarterback. So it's one of these guys we need to contain. And I think that's going to be the big one for us. I think we're all pretty satisfied that we can defend against the run by now. So they're not going to try too much running up the gut. And if anything, he's going to try and sneak some runs around us. If the play opens up, get outside the pocket, look downfield, nothing there, then go for it. So I think it's a big contain job for the defense. Contain the quarterback, I think we'll.
At the risk of sounding like that X Factor dude, kind of Justin Fields reminds me kind of a young Matt Ryan, I think.
Think so?
I think so. I think, he's got some good accuracy and some good mobility. I think we don't forget that actually in these early days, Matt Ryan was quite mobile and he sort of matured into that pocket passer.
Yeah, I think we rely on that inexperience against our kind of top quality defensive line and our linebackers, and I think we can put him under pressure that he's not seen yet. So I think that'll be the key for me. That's the key to stopping the Bears.
So pressuring an inexperienced quarterback. Okay, yes. David.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was saying about if Levante David was back, it would be a real boost for us. Passing, they're not great. They're 30th in the league passing at the minute, so they might still fancy their chances having a go. He does like to get himself out the pocket and throw from different positions, and he's definitely got a pair of legs on him. So it's definitely going to be something. If we can't contain him quickly, then our linebackers are going to be key to stop him getting downfield quick. I don't think they've got the receivers there that are potentially going to do us the damage. He says jinxing the whole game now, but definitely.
I think they've got some decent receivers. I think it's just about servicing them.
Yeah, but I still think. I mean, he had a lot of pressure against him at Green Bay, didn't he? And he was scrambling, but he turned a lot of those scrambles into good yardage with his legs, and that's where we've just got to stop him.
So, I mean, the Chicago Bears depth chart, they list 3 receivers in their starting lineup, as you'd expect. So, Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson II, and Marquise Goodwin. And then, at tight end, you've got Cole Kmet. And buried away in second string, you've still got Jimmy Graham. So I don't want to go all Zach Ertz on you, but another player probably a bit past their prime. But please don't wake up against the Bucs.
I mean, Allen Robinson is definitely a good receiver, and typical with Bucs secondaries, we always seem to let their star receiver have plenty of space. Contain him, and I think we've got to,
Yeah, Alex, would you agree that both the others are focused on the offensive side of the ball for the Bears as being, that the way we win is by good defense? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, defense wins championships, of course, but I want to have a look at. I'm going to focus on our offense, I think, and just thinking back to the Philly game. We mentioned it in the game review, and we said about that balanced offense. So my key to the game from a Bucs perspective, Graeme and David were focusing more from, stopping their quarterback. I want to look at specifically from the Buccaneers. I think we need to make sure we keep that balanced offense going. We saw how good that balanced offense was against Philadelphia and just how smooth it looked and how great it was to watch. If Lenny can keep going the way he was, Philadelphia couldn't really stop him. It was great to see him like that. Antonio Brown, he's looking like the receiver in Pittsburgh. To have him, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, as well as all the other weapons we've got. So I think just spreading the play around as we have been and keeping that balanced offense will be that's my key to the game.
I mean, definitely their strength is defense. And, with Mack and Quinn, they've got players that can get to the quarterback. So, it's holding that tough, getting rid of ball and mixing it up with a bit of play action as well.
It's true, and if Mack and Quinn don't get you, then you've got Ogletree and Hicks, and there's again some good people in that front 7.
Absolutely. I mean, but I'm gonna trust the O line. I'm gonna say they're gonna do the job there. I think that's very fair points what been made there. I think we will see Brady get hit and possibly sacked at times because they do have a good defense. Chicago, they do. It is a good defense. And as good as our O line is, it's not. It's not rock solid. People do get through it. And I think if there's one team that might get through and just maybe try and unsettle Brady a little bit more than other teams, it might be Chicago.
I think I just cast my memory back to last year.
Yeah.
And even though we won the Super Bowl, this one game still it's like an itch you can't quite scratch.
Yeah. Well, as being as probably Dave will attest to, and being a Bucs fan since the old was it the NFC Central or whatever we used to play, the black and blue days? Yeah, man, I used to hate Chicago Bears, and I have to say that feeling has never abated. So
it's because there are so many Bears fans in this country now, aren't there? Just because the 1985 Bears.
Yeah, well, I was at Soldier Field. Was it 3-4 seasons ago now? Where out of the blue we got destroyed by Tannehill.
Yeah,
and they ran up pretty much 50 points, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was a horrible game to be at.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the Bears. We just don't seem to like playing them, do we? We've got the saying that we never make it easy for ourselves, but for some reason the Bears just every team seems to have that bogey team, so to speak, and it's almost as though that the Bears just seem to be that one for us every time we come against them.
Okay, then. So Alex, in terms of we need one Buck to watch and one Buck to watch and one Bear to watch. Who are the games? I think we've given a good high level summary, but who is this game going to pivot around? Who's going to be the difference maker for the Bucs and for the Bears?
So for the Bucs, I think I've got to look at our defense. We need to stop their quarterback. And I've said this guy before. I'm going to say it again because I feel our defense revolves around this guy. I'm sticking with Vita Vea. He is always my man to watch. If he plays good, the defense plays good. if you have 3 players or two, if you've got a double team him or even have 3 players on him, it then enables our defense to stretch their legs and really make it difficult for the quarterback and the offense. So Vita Vea is my player to
the
watch.
game does, as you say, the team does revolve around him largely due to gravitational inertia.
Exactly. Yes. And then from Chicago side, so I'm going to be boring. It's the obvious guy. It's Mac. He is just, you can't not talk about the Bears defense and not mention Khalil Mack. That's how good this guy is. And I remember when we played him last season, I think this was the game also that Wirfs gave up his only sack when we played them last season as well. Now, that is nothing against Wirfs because Khalil Mack is one of the best linebackers in the NFL.
He's a poor man's Aaron Donald.
And I've got a feeling that, and rather than just moving into a slightly different direction, ever so slightly, just for a moment, that could be a really interesting matchup to watch. Actually, Tristan Wirfs and Khalil Mack. Tristan Wirfs will remember that this is the player he gave up his 1 sack to. So I think that would be a really interesting matchup as well.
That's really good. Graeme, would you agree with that, or you got some different players you think?
No, I'll swap around a little bit. I think, speaking about trying to contain Justin Fields, I think he's the man to watch. I think he's the key for them, and I think he's the guy we've got to be all over. And he looks like he's a cracking prospect. Very good, good quarterback. I'd like to see these guys who can move around a bit, move out the pocket and make the passes. So, yeah, for me, he's going to be the one to watch. On our side of the ball, again, talking about the balanced game, I think Fournette, for me, we just need to make this is of all the games this season, this is the one that we need to be running the ball all 4 quarters. If we don't make anything in the first quarter, get a couple of touchdowns behind, and they just start throwing the ball for the rest of the game, we'll probably get stuffed. So we need to make the run work here. I'd love to see, although everyone on the message board won't like to see it, 1 or 2 straight up the gut to start off. Just give them the message straight up the middle. First 2 plays.
Off a few
In
plays
fact,
from Adam's run
I would even tell them that's what we're going to do, and then do it.
Tell you what, Adam's going to love you for that, Graeme.
Yep.
Some old school pounding the rock there.
Oh yes.
David, how about you?
I think Chris Godwin's going to be key for us this game, mainly because I think we're going to use our tight ends a lot more for blocking. And so that means that we're going to need Godwin inside taking the short passes. So he's going to be a big player for us, I think, this week. Having to, they're going to button down on the wide outs and have Godwin in the slot, or actually those short passes out wide to the edge as well, to move it around quickly.
But none of that rocket screen to AB nonsense again. That's just broadcasted, telegraphed. You just see the running back tootle down to the bottom of the screen like that's going to AB at the top, isn't it? It does, doesn't it?
So, David, I've got a question to ask then. No pressure. Do I start Godwin this week?
Definitely. He's going to take lots of short passes, but whether he'll see the end zone's a different matter. I still think
this week,
we'll get down there and then we'll let regular season Lenny run it. So we'll probably have 10 passes for 48 yards.
I'm not, to answer your question, Kieron, I'm not sure because I'm just getting over an absolutely massive loss from this week, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's scarring me.
Fantasy. Okay, so money where your mouth is time then. We need to know some numbers on the scoreboard. Alex, let's come to you first.
So I was just checking back my predictions just to see what I'd gone for. I've got us winning this game. I don't know what was going through my head when I thought that because then we spoke about what happened previously against the Bears. So, but I'm going to stick with that. But I think this is going to be close just because of what's happened with us against the Bears previously. I'm gonna go for 24-21 to the Bucs. I think this will be a tight one.
Okay, yeah, good one. So it could come down to some kicking if your numbers are correct. David, your score prediction?
34-17 to the Bucs.
Okay, so that's a bit more comfortable. Nice 2-score lead.
I mean, Bears have only hit 20 points once all season.
Yeah.
They have, but look who they're playing. Just putting it out there.
Okay, glass half empty at the top of the screen there. Graeme, are you going to fill it up down the bottom?
I've actually landed right in between the two. I've got 28-17 for for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this is a must not lose game. We must not lose to this lot, not again.
Yeah. I think you're right. I can see this being close in the first half and then us pulling away. I'm hoping that we've got more weapons and more stamina than them. I'd like to think that's true. Maybe that's just me being a bit of a sort of a Homer fan for rooting for the Bucs. But I thought 35-21. So I was very, very close to sort of David's prediction, I think.
I definitely prefer your predictions to mine.
One of the Bears' touchdowns being garbage time, comeback type stuff.
As I say, I hope I'm wrong and you three are right. Trust me.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll be thrilled if I'm wrong. Trust me, I will be really happy.
I think this era of podcasts. We've always been predicting Bucs wins, and luckily they've won most of them. But it wasn't always the case. We thought the Bucs were going to win every week. So I think that's still testament to the belief and the confidence that even with all those players out that we've talked about, we're still the better team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you think, we came up against a young quarterback as well against Philadelphia, and we beat him.
Yeah,
that makes a bit of a change, doesn't it? So that was nice.
So I think we've beaten our last 4 rookies, which is unheard.
Yeah, that's a record in itself. I think the fact that we're sitting 5-1 at this point, without kind of really setting the heather on fire, maybe the Miami game after the first quarter or so, but we've not really clicked yet. So really good spot to be in, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, if anyone had offered us 5-1 at this point, we'd have taken it.
Definitely, yeah.
100% we were taking it. And I think, when we think back to the game that we did lose, which was the Rams game, most of us had that down as a loss anyway.
And actually, so that's the first 6 games we've come 5-1, and the next 6 games then, Chicago at home, away to the Saints, Washington football team who are imploding, the Giants who are the worst I think they've ever been, the Colts who have underwhelmed and disappointed everyone, and then the Falcons. So we need to be sitting pretty at this time, in further along the season.
Yep.
Giants is a huge banana skin because there's going to be so many Bucs UK fans there.
Yes.
It coincides with now we're allowed to travel back over to the States again. We've all worked out how much notice we have to give at work and which games still had tickets available. And bing, 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 it's the Giants. So we shall see. You've heard it from us. If you disagree, tell us down in the comments. Give us a thumbs up still. Come on, let's be fair about this. We are British after all. So give us the comments. Let us know what you think, and we'll see if you're right. But then we'll be back next week. So thank you, Alex, David, and Graeme.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure.
And go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
So that's enough about the past. We are now looking forwards. It's all on to the Bears and a trip to Chicago. It is away, isn't it?
No.
Edit.
Do you want me to do that bit?
So that's enough about the Eagles. Let's concentrate now on a different kind of bear. Oh. It's not going to be my night, is it?